What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast. I'm Katie Mox here with Will Brinson. And of course, we have our two Sportsline superstars, Propstarz and RJ White. Brinson and I are coming at you live from Las Vegas here for the Super Bowl. Brinson, well, first of all, this episode of Pick Six is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. But Brinson, talk to us about what Pick Six has been doing here in Vegas in your last episode.
Well, I mean, Katie, if you watch the show, listen to the show, you'll know that we have been down on the beautiful Bellagio sets all week long, out on the fountains. We're not there right now. Technology, we're not currently on set live in Las Vegas. No, we are in our hotel rooms. Yep. We're basically technically in the Eiffel Tower. We're near the Eiffel Tower, I think. But yeah, during we had a Tuesdays with Brady show that we had that should be in the feed now, I believe. Fun time. Dorian Thompson-Robinson came on. Ryan Wilson hosted. Dorian Thompson-Robinson came on, and then I think you and Breach and Wilson and somebody else did. We did a spotlight takeover, all kinds of cool things.
We did a segment there with Chris Hassel. So it's been great. Obviously, check all of those out, guys, on the feed. You can check it out on HQ as well. And while you're there, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the Pick Six podcast, guys. If you like winning picks.
By the way, I should note that yesterday I went to Radio Row, 4-hour block, and they had one interview scheduled. So, I got to pal around Radio Row for a little bit, no big deal. And on the way back, I walked there, which is stupid. On the way back, I get in the cab, and the cabbie goes, "I recognize you." I was like, "Oh my God, that's so cool." I was actually thinking like, "Yeah, right, bro." He was like, "No, I see you on the Sports Network." I was like, "Oh, really? All right, right on." He goes, "So shoot me straight, Will. No BS. This actually happened." He goes, "Is Taylor Swift a psyop for Joe Biden? Yes or no?" I was like, yeah, buddy. Yeah, Mark the cabbie. One, she is. And two, they definitely tell me this information. Like they're like, "I know we got this information. Let's make sure Brinson knows." That's who needs to know this.
Valid question. Straight.
So yes, obviously, Taylor Swift a psyop for Joe Biden. In case anybody was curious, just to confirm.
Okay. Good to know. On a much less exciting note, let's pull up our betting record for the conference championships. Somebody went 0-6. You know what's so funny is that I feel like I won the regular season and then I've completely bombed in the postseason. I feel like I've been the last of the of all of us in postseason.
Yeah, postseason is tough because there's fewer games, so like the lines are sharper. Everybody's paying more attention. And it's kind of hard to find edges. I mean, now we're at the Super Bowl where books put out hundreds of props. So, we get to dig in and find some different type of edges that we wouldn't have in normal games. But the lines are pretty efficient. You don't really find, like we do during the regular season, find some lines that we think are off. Because everybody's thinking about these. Everybody kind of knows everything that's at stake. So I think it's pretty hard to pick during the playoffs. Harder to pick during the playoffs than it is the regular season for sure.
And just to piggyback on that point, it's something I've emphasized all season long, really even in the pro season. I discuss how my personal betting volume dwindles to the point where I would honestly encourage people really not to bet very much come the postseason. Obviously, this is supposed to be fun, but if we're betting purely from a profit, units won, units lost standpoint, these lines just get incredibly sharp once we reach this stage of the postseason. So very difficult to beat here in the playoffs. So.
Curious what your thoughts are, guys, about betting the Super Bowl, right? Because there's two ways to go about it. One, it's a Super Bowl. It's fun. It's the last time that you could do it. You get in on crazy bets like, will there be a doink, which we've got a doink cam now with CBS. So hopefully, or coin toss.
I think we have multiple doink cams.
6. There's 6. Shout out to CBS.
6 doink cams.
Yeah, Butker had a doink actually in the last Super Bowl. But what's your advice to betting the Super Bowl? Is it, obviously you don't want to go crazy, RJ, but it is fun. Do people start chasing? Like what's your Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like any other time. You shouldn't be risking what you can't afford to lose. It's all for fun. And you're going to have a narrative of what you think the game's going to go like. So you don't try to go overboard and play that because, nobody can be too sure about how these games go. So everything's kind of percentages when we play these. We think we're getting better value on odds. than the odds say when we play them. But I'm still, I still wouldn't fire, like Alex was talking about, fire tons of props here. Find a few that you can root for. We're going to give out a ton here. The ones that click for you, feel free to play those and keep it light and simple and have fun at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and also, guys, if you want a lot of picks, then you got to make sure that you sign up at sportsline.com. Use the promo code PICK and get your first month for just $1. No better time than to get in at the Super Bowl. And speaking of, all right, let's talk about it. San Francisco 49ers.
I was gonna throw out one more thing just before we get started. I do Super Bowl squares, very popular.
Yes.
I'm in a Super Bowl squares thing with a group of my friends where instead of the traditional, in the first quarter you get X, in the second quarter you get X. It's for every second that your square is the actual score, you get paid. So like as the clock is ticking, so like in other words, if you get 0-0, you get money for every second off the game clock until the first points are scored. It's pretty spicy. Because if your square lands, you're like, let's go, stop the vote, stop the count. It's a fun way to do it.
I like how political you're getting with this podcast. Stop the count. The Biden. Hey. All right, Brinson.
Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce will get married on January 7th. Who knows?
Vegas Brinson is a different breed. I'll just say that.
Oh, I am experiencing it right now. By the way, Brinson and I both have a little bit of casino voice, guys. Walking through these smoke-filled places does something to your voice box. But all right, let's talk game, guys. Let's just get right into it. San Francisco 49ers laying 2.5 at Kansas City. This total 47.5. We were kind of predicting where this line would go. RJ, did you think it would get up to 2.5?
No, it opened at 2.5 actually, and once it got bet down to 1, it really felt like last year where that opened 2.5 in favor of the Chiefs, steamed all the way to Eagles 2.5, and it felt like we were on a collision course for that happening again. So when it stopped at 1, that's fair. It's going to keep going, and we'll get on the other side of the money line at some point. And then it turned right back around and went back up to 2, and we see that. Here on these odds, we have 1, 2.5 out there, but it's mostly 2. So interested to see that when the limits are raised, if we get some big bets in that take it back down closer to kickoff. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I am surprised that San Francisco appears to be headed to going off as the favorite here.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised about it as well, but it's not stopping me from betting the 49ers money line. Okay, but we all know where I stand on this one. You don't exactly need my analysis. Brinson, what do you like?
I mean, I think it's oddly simple to me, and I think the biggest part that bugs me, and this is whatever, because ultimately it doesn't matter who's on what side. It's the Super Bowl. Everybody's betting it. If you see betting trends like, this percent of the public money's on this or this, that doesn't matter. It's a Super Bowl. Billions of dollars are wagered. Everybody is going to be like. My mom is involved in Super Bowl betting in some shape or form, and that's just where we are in 2024. I mean, I think that the Niners are the better team. I think they have the better roster. I think that if these two teams played once a week, starting at Labor Day until now, the Niners are winning, 16 of the 20 games, but they probably don't win.
Yeah.
Well, they probably don't win 2 of the last 3 because the Niners aren't playing as well as they did early in the season.
Yep.
I think Kyle Shanahan's game plans have been very questionable the last 2 weeks. He came out, he had Deebo Samuel, he was leaning into Deebo Samuel against the Packers. Deebo gets hurt, has to completely readjust. And then he was really trying to force Christian McCaffrey last week. Now, maybe they come out with a Deebo game plan and Deebo's healthy and it works. I think they can score points. But Patrick Mahomes is playing awesome football, and he's the best quarterback on planet Earth. He's the best quarterback I've ever seen play football. I mean, and just from a physical production standpoint, Tom Brady won 3 games in his 3 Super Bowls, in his first 5 years or first 4 years. He wasn't playing like Patrick Mahomes is playing right now. Right. This Chiefs defense is the best Chiefs defense they've ever had with Mahomes and Andy Reid. They have the best offensive play caller, maybe in the history of football. If Andy Reid's tracking that way. And if this, I just wish the Chiefs were favored by 1. So I wouldn't feel bad about taking the Chiefs when everybody's on the Niners. I do think there's a decent chance that all the people taking the
Everyone's on
Niners.
Niners. What do you mean?
I
Everyone's on the Niners.
I
Oh, I
know.
thought you said
That's no. I think the people who are on the Niners are big bettors, and they're the same people who bet on the Ravens and who bet on the Bills, fading the Chiefs, fading Andy Reid, fading Patrick Mahomes, and ultimately I think it'll be a really close game. But I just think that Mahomes is going to do Mahomes stuff, and the Chiefs are going to find a way to win. So I'll take the Chiefs plus 2.5 to be safe. But I think I would take the Chiefs money line as well.
I like the Chiefs money line too. I'm taking plus 2.5 here. I think they're the better team at this point of the season. I think most of the year San Francisco is the better team, but just how they've played in these last few weeks, it just seems like the Chiefs are the better team. The Chiefs are also the more experienced team, having just been there last year and having been there now 4 times in the last 5 years. So I think they'll be able to get done. They have the better quarterback, as well as Brock Purdy has played when he's playing at his best. I mean, nobody's better than Patrick Mahomes. And they have the better coaching staff as a whole. And like Brinson saying, they have a better defense. So why are they not favored here? Does Christian McCaffrey and the Deebo Samuel and the skill position players there really make that much of a difference when the Chiefs also have Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice playing well? I don't think the gap is that big. So to me, the Chiefs should be favored here. I'm taking them plus 2.5. I also like playing some alt lines. If you look into alt lines, I think the Chiefs can win this game by 7. So if you want to play the minus 3.5, get the other side of 3 at plus 172. I think that's solid. So you can scoop up any 4 to 6 point wins, and then even minus 6.5 at plus 255. I think is a solid value too. So I'm on the Chiefs here. I was against them the last few weeks and learned my lesson, and I'm going to be on them here.
One more thing. Oh, sorry, I was going to say props. One more thing that I think is and like Steve Wilkes is a great dude, good coach. He ain't D'Amico Ryans, he ain't Robert Saleh. And that defense is not the same as it was 4 years ago.
Can't stop the run.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what everyone said, I am also on Kansas City here, plus 2.5. I also learned my lesson fading this Chiefs team. Patrick Mahomes is just playing so well. I agree with everything Brinson said regarding, he's the best quarterback of all time, certainly as far as best start of any quarterback I've ever seen as far as his career is concerned. And just Kansas City, they look better and better every week. I would also point to the fact that really for the first time in Andy Reid's career, he's really leaned heavily on Isaiah Pacheco and this ground game. The narrative had long been Andy Reid just being one of the more pass happy coaches, even to their detriment. I remember when he was coaching the Philadelphia Eagles, it was almost like he was unwilling to run the football and lean on Brian Westbrook at the time when he was one of the best running backs in the NFL. But they've really embraced a balanced approach. I think it really helped Kansas City down the stretch. They just seem to have momentum. They're playing so well. They look better and better every game. Just watching Patrick Mahomes just surgically pick apart that Baltimore pass defense was extremely impressive to me. Travis Kelce silenced a lot of the doubters. I thought his play had started to fall off a cliff during the regular season. He's just been phenomenal in the postseason. Having Rashee Rice emerge as a viable outside target again has really opened things up elsewhere. And then I also believe this is the best defense that we've seen Kansas City have since Mahomes has been in the league as well. Just such a vaunted pass defense. Then you have a interior presence like Chris Jones. They're just so balanced. And then I just have a lot more confidence in Patrick Mahomes in these high leverage spots. Credit to Brock Purdy, who's obviously playing pretty good football. I had a great regular season. But yeah, I just can't pick against these Chiefs who just look better and better every game.
That's my housekeeping. Brinson, you take totals.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping. I know I need to put my sign up so they don't knock on my door as well. But let's get to the totals. All totals allowed here. We're just going to pick one. You go full game, alternate, half total, quarter total, team total, whatever you want. I will start. I think I will not be alone in this one. And I'm going to take the first half under. I don't really care what the number is. I think it's a slow starting game. I think the one concern that I have about this is that you see both coaches script really well and that the teams come out and execute early. We saw Mahomes start 11 of 11 against a great Ravens defense. Excuse me. Casino cough. And look, like the Chiefs could come out firing. It wouldn't shock me at all. Kyle Shanahan's Andy Reid's a better offensive coach. Kyle Shanahan is an incredible game scripter and frankly, like an incredible coach. Kyle Shanahan's kind of getting dragged this week for the big games. It's like, yeah, he lost the big leads, but the dude had the big leads to begin with. Like, he's a really, really, really good head coach. I think that's my one concern with the first half under. But other than that, I would be really surprised if we don't see these teams be a little conservative out of the gate. We've seen the last couple of weeks, Christian McCaffrey games where the 49ers are going to want to establish the run, get CMC going. And of course, as Propstarz noted and Katie pointed out, like, you can run on the 49ers. So I think we'll see a lot of Isaiah Pacheco. Actually, since other people have the first half under, I will flip this and say I'm going to take the second half under. And then I'll let you, Katie, take the first half under if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to take the first half under. And basically for all the reasons that you just laid out, and especially Brock Purdy. I mean, we all know that he throws some very interceptable balls. I think they're going to want to protect him this whole game, but certainly in the first half. And look, the 49ers can't afford to go down like they did in the last two playoff games in that first half and think you're going to come back against Patrick Mahomes. So I do think they're going to run the ball a lot. And I look, we've seen it in the past several years. Defenses come out really strong. Now, last year, the first half actually hit the over. I believe it was 24-14 in the first half. But other than that, it's gone under this number in 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls.
Pile on, Alex. I know you got the same pick.
Yeah, I am also on the first half under 23.5. So, yeah, music to my ears to see Katie and originally Brinson on it as well. But, yeah, I just think that NFL players are also creatures of habit, and having a 2-week layoff will also add to the teams potentially kind of struggling maybe initially to find a rhythm. I also think both these teams have shown an ability to really keep the opposing teams off the field by sustaining long drives, focusing heavily on the ground game. I think that'll be an approach for San Francisco. It's just, I think the best way to slow down Patrick Mahomes is for him to not be on the field. And we've seen San Francisco certainly have, these 7, 8, 9-minute drives. And then I think the Chiefs, that's a new gear that they've shown this season and down the stretch, as well as their ability to really grind clock and keep the opposing quarterbacks on the field. So off the field, excuse me. So I like these first half under as well.
So on Will's second half under, that's also 23.5. The line is the same on each side. You can also bet, before I move on to my pick, you can bet which half will have more points, first half or second half. I think typically the thinking is there's more scoring in the second half, but and so that's the favored side. So Will, since you flipped your pick to the second half, which side would you take on that bet, first half or second half?
I would take first half, and I think the reason why is that and this is predicated on the idea that the Chiefs. No. I think there's going to be more points in the first half than the second half. I think it's a low-scoring game. I really do, and I think, dude, the Chiefs' second half unders are money. Andy Reid gets the ball. If San Francisco is winning, this is all out the window. Okay, don't hammer that second half under if San Francisco is winning, because then Mahomes and the script changes completely. Mahomes has to throw a ton. I think the Chiefs will try to run the ball a bunch in the second half. Andy Reid, Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan, offensive geniuses, they love to sit on the ball, squat on the ball, and melt clock, particularly in the second half. And I think we will see the Chiefs do that if they have a lead. So I think the higher scoring half will be the first half.
So on my play, I'm going to take the Chiefs team total over 23.5 points, minus 108. They're obviously not going to be too big. The moment's not going to be too big for them. They've done this over and over, and they know what they're doing at this point. Saw them score a ton of points on that Eagles defense last year. San Francisco defense, we know, not playing well. They allowed more than 23 points just once in their first 13 games. And in their last 5 competitive games, they've allowed over 23.5 points 3 times. Hufanga getting hurt has really changed the tenor of this defense. I think Patrick Mahomes will be able to move the ball downfield pretty consistently against this defense and get to 24 points. And then you have the Brock Purdy factor. I mean, if the moment is too big for Brock Purdy, if he wilts a little bit under the spotlight, throws a pick. You talk about the interceptable balls, Katie. What if that's returned for a touchdown? And then that's a free 6-7 points.
Speak it into existence, but yes,
right there to help us get over. So I think there's different ways to get here. Mahomes, being able to consistently move the ball, get to 24 points on his own, and then maybe even getting a defensive score to help us out too. So I like the under that you guys are playing as well in the first half. I've been hoping that the overall total would boost, throughout the week and get bet up, as typically tends to happen. So we can come and hammer 24.5 as the under for the first half. So I'm going to keep holding out hope that that number is going to come, even though that total hasn't moved at all. So we'll see if
is it like, always it's always the over is the public side. Is the under the public side in this game for some reason? Like it feels that way, doesn't it?
No. The over is still
I think the splits still favor the over, but the number's just not moving.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Super Bowl. You have a lot of first-time bettors. Everybody wants points. You know what I mean? So I would agree on that. All right, guys.
For sure. Sorry,
what?
No, go ahead.
All right. Well, I was going to say, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are looking at Super Bowl prop bets, including some novelties. Viva Las Vegas. This is Pick Six. Don't go anywhere.
Caught by Kelsey for the touchdown. The 49ers are going back to the Super Bowl. The champs are still in it, headed to Vegas.
Back here on the Pick Six podcast. What's up, everybody? Katie Mox here and Brinson. We're in Vegas, all right? Give us a little bit of a break here, also with Propstarz and RJ White. Now we're going to look at some player props and novelty props for the Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs versus the 49ers. Starting with passing props, we've got Brock Purdy, and then we've got Patrick Mahomes. RJ, who are you zeroing in on?
I'm zeroing in on Brock Purdy. I'm going to go under 1.5 passing touchdowns at -102. It's the underdog, I think, to still play. I think he's still favored to go over that. He's had multiple touchdowns in 9 of 16 games in the regular season, but in either playoff game, despite playing in negative game scripts there, I think Brinson was mentioning earlier, Kyle Shanahan not going to put him at risk, or maybe you were mentioning, Katie, not going to put him too much at risk. So running the ball will be the name of the game, and I think they're going to try to get it in, in the red zone with the run rather than have him throw the ball. In case Kansas City has allowed multiple pass touchdowns only 4 times, and no time since week 13. They are very good at stopping, touchdowns from getting scored through the air in the red zone. And I don't think there's going to be any big plays from San Francisco, which we'll get into later too. So I like Brock Purdy to stay under 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think we're getting a pretty good value at -102.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to go next, Brinson. I don't disagree with you. I'm going to fade Purdy in the passing game as well. Take him under his passing yards at 245.5. Now, he has gotten at least 246 yards passing in 67% of games played this year, but you got to give all the credit to KC's, pass defense. I think they allowed less than 200 yards pretty much on average all season long. You look at Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship game, he threw for 272, but I think we can all agree that that was a mistake. He was out there trying to play hero ball when they should have been, running the ball. I don't think that Shanahan's going to do that. I don't think he's going to abandon the run. Even when you look at the NFC Championship game, when the 49ers were down, Shanahan didn't abandon the run, and Purdy doesn't do that many passes. And like we've all said, they're going to protect him. So I like him under on his yards. Propstarz, you're kind of combining two things with him.
I am. Yeah, I'm going to fade Purdy as well, but I'm also going to fade his rushing yards. So we're going to go under 266 combined passing and rushing yards. I think with a 20-yard cushion here, I don't think Brock Purdy is suddenly going to be a mobile quarterback, especially after that last performance. So normally his rushing yards are set around 3 or 4.5 yards. So getting a 20-yard cushion here, in my opinion, is, if you're fading him, is a really solid look. But yeah, it's all about this Kansas City pass defense. Gave up the fewest passing yards in the regular season, have been just as good as advertised in the postseason. Ranked top 3 in EPA allowed per dropback, defensive success percentage. They don't allow big plays down the field. So I just think they're really well equipped to slow down Brock Purdy. I also believe, obviously, the path of least resistance when we're looking at this Kansas City defense has been on the ground. And we know San Francisco likes to run the football quite a bit, especially in neutral game environments. So I anticipate San Francisco, while the game is close, leaning heavily on the ground game. As a result of that, it'll limit the amount of dropbacks that Brock Purdy has. So I think, I really like fading him, and I like fading the combination line a little bit more than just his raw passing line.
I'm going to go way off the board and just really try to get back into this thing and get back over 500 and really create
exactly what we talked about
the
show not to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm going to do the polar opposite of what we talked about not doing. I'm going to try and get back in this thing. I'm going to chase, and I'm going to go against. Now, this is not correlated to any of the other stuff. Patrick Mahomes, exactly 5 touchdowns. 5 passing
Whoa.
touchdowns. 48-1. That's where we're going. Does it make sense? Math. Hell no. It doesn't make sense.
Wow.
Exactly 5 passing touchdowns, 48-1. Will he do it? You got to scroll down to find it, I believe. Maybe me. It's possible. It's possible me giving it up 47-1. It's already come down 10-1. I'm looking at it on FanDuel right now. Exactly 5, 47-1. I see exactly 4 at 11-1. So whatever, whatever. It varies by state. Like you get different odds by state. So obviously shop around the FanDuel. Whatever the FanDuel I'm looking at says 47-1. It's just me even looking at it causes it to drop from 48-1 to 47-1. This could be down to 5-1 by the time the game kicks off, for all we know. It's probably not going to happen. It's a long shot. It's a Super Bowl. Have fun. If it hits, I get 48 units and leave you suckers in the dust.
Is this just a reaction to like the San Francisco playing zone and Mahomes tearing that up zone? You just think they're just going to go over and over down the field again and again and ball that much?
Well, it's also correlated to my bold prediction of Travis Kelce having 3 receiving touchdowns and performing 3 Taylor Swift-related touchdown celebrations. So all of these things go hand in hand. We got the heart. He's going to do a 1 and a 3, or 1 and 3, and then he's going to do the kissing the bicep, which Taylor does at her shows. So I think those two things will happen, and we will get 5 passing touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes. It's not so much the third thing. I think in all seriousness, there's a couple ways you can get here. One, the 49ers stack the box and the Chiefs can't run the ball. But the offensive line is working and blocking well, and they let Mahomes cook and he throws a bunch. 2, the 49ers come out and take a lead early and Mahomes is forced to throw. And again, like we all think this game is going under. This game can go way over. These two teams can score quick and fast and aggressively. And so, like, I don't think it's that insane that Patrick Mahomes could throw 5 touchdowns. Certainly. And obviously, if you bet that, go ahead and take him to win MVP. Might get there if you win those 5 passing touchdowns. Okay. Moving along. Receiving props. Katie, look, you are nothing if not on brand. You love the NC State Wolfpack. And you're taking former NC State standout receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
I am. I'm
prop,
taking
right?
him. Yeah, over 1.5 receptions. I found this at -108. But look, he's come a long way since the beginning of the season. Obviously, he had some very key drops there. But if you look back into the past 2 postseason games, he's had exactly 2 receptions in each of those games. So it's really like the quantity of those catches more so than the quality, right? One of those catches was responsible for the go-ahead touchdown versus the Bills, where the other one sealed the deal for the Ravens. And so I just feel like he's gaining a lot of trust. It's a low amount of receptions, and I think he's going to get more targets. So I like him over 1.5.
Did you see his gold chains at media night?
No.
Or it's a gold. There's diamond. He has a diamond MVS, and then a diamond heart. Like I don't even know their necklaces. I mean, they don't hang low. They hang right here. You open them up. Giant MVS in all diamonds. Beautiful stuff. RJ, what do you have?
I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk's longest reception being under 24.5 yards at -120. Talked about this, kind of referred to this a little bit earlier. I just don't think they're going to have big plays against this Chiefs defense, typically good about limiting big passes. Although Baltimore did get a few of them, I think that's in part due to Lamar's escapability that Brock Purdy doesn't have as much. I know he's run a little bit in the playoffs, but he's obviously no Lamar Jackson. Nobody's Lamar Jackson. Kansas City did not allow a 25-yard pass any of their final 3 competitive regular season games. I throw out the week 18. Obviously, nobody cares about that. And then Buffalo topped out at 15 in the divisional round. A very good Bills defense could not get the ball downfield on this offense at all. So it'll be much of the same for Brock Purdy, and you can take his under on his completions as well. But Ayuk's the big play guy there, and I just think they're going to take him out, of the game plan, being able to hit these big plays. And so we've seen his receptions trending under. I think it's very heavily juiced to him to go under 4.5 receptions. And I just don't think he has a long reception in him. So I like under 24.5 yards in his longest reception, probably a couple yards too high.
And
What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I am fading Brandon Ayuk as well. The aforementioned reception line that RJ mentioned, under 4.5 receptions. When this line opened, this was actually the one line I felt was fairly inefficient and had some value fading. Turns out I was correct. This is, I think, on some books around minus 160, minus 170. I just think 5 receptions is a huge ask for Brandon Ayuk with his role in the offense, coupled against this vaunted Chiefs pass defense. Just Purdy and Ayuk have not been on the same page in the postseason. 14 targets that the Ayuk has cashed in for 6 receptions for just 100 yards. And we know one of those receptions and 50 of those yards came on a busted play, obviously, where the ball bounced off of a defender's helmet and Ayuk made an improbable catch there. And those were against Green Bay and Detroit, who are both, subpar pass defenses. We also know Steve Spagnuolo, as the defensive coordinator of this defense, places a heavy emphasis on taking away the splash zone of the opposing team down the middle of the field, which is where Ayuk primarily operates. So that is a point of emphasis for Spagnuolo to really limit plays down the field. As a result, Kansas City gave up one of the lowest rates of explosive plays in the NFL, and that is certainly by design. So I think fading Ayuk here is definitely the sharpest play on the board as far as any prop is concerned, for the record. And then I'm also going to fade my guy, Rashee Rice, under 6.5 receptions. Just missed on this last week, but Mahomes completed 30 passes, 39 attempts, and then Rice had, I believe, 46 yards with 9 receptions. So just wasn't getting a lot of downfield passing there. I just don't think that's going to be the case this week. I also think San Francisco has an excellent pass defense, and they're going to make life difficult for Rice. I just think 7 receptions is a big ask for him. So I'm going to fade both receivers under 4.5 receptions for Ayuk, under 6.5 receptions for Rashee Rice.
I'm going over Christian McCaffrey receptions 4.5. It's minus 122 now. I think it was actually 3.5 earlier in the week, which was crazy to me. If you believe that the Chiefs are going to win, and I do, and you believe that Chris Jones can cause problems, and that Steve Spagnuolo, who, by the way, blitzed 50+% of the time last week against Lamar Jackson. I don't think he'll do that this week per se, because there's Devo who can kill you, but I mean, like, McCaffrey is going to get a lot of targets in this game if the 49ers are trailing at all, and if Brock Purdy is under duress. So I think clearly prefer 3.5 to 4.5, but I like the over on Christian McCaffrey receptions here.
He's had at least 4 receptions, I believe, for the last 5 games too. So even if they're not trailing, I think he's still going to hit this. Yeah,
and look, like, Kyle loves to run the ball in the red zone and down by the goal line. Christian McCaffrey, number 1 in red zone carries this year. Top, I think, number 2 in carries inside the 10, and then top 5 in carries inside the 5. But if the Chiefs are stacking things up, you may see them sort of switch things up and dump it off to McCaffrey down by the goal line as well.
All right, moving on to rushing props, right? Are we moving on to rushing? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do rushing.
I'm looking at Deebo Samuel actually for this. His rushing yards line is set to 15.5. And the thing with this is that, I mean, we keep talking about how we're all fading Brock Purdy and the passing game. And I think a lot of people forgot, it's at 16.5 now. I'd still take the over on this one. I think a lot of people forgot that before Christian McCaffrey came on to the 49ers, Deebo had his best year rushing in 2021. He had over 502 rushing yards. I think we're going to see a lot more design runs for Deebo in this game. So to get over the 15.5, I just really like this one a lot. I think also that the Chiefs struggle with outside runs, and Deebo has no problem getting to the outside. So that's where I'm going. What do you think, RJ?
Yeah, and that would help protect the theory of the case of protecting Brock Purdy from making too many mistakes is you get Deebo Samuel the ball on runs as opposed to passes and have to put it at risk downfield. So I like that. I'm going to go with Isaiah Pacheco over 66.5 rush yards. I mean, I think on the Monday show last week, I was hammering Pacheco for going over his rushing yards, ballooned up a little bit, and then he came crashing back down, I believe, because people think Jerick McKinnon might play in this game, which I don't think is going to happen. Even if he is able to practice, it just doesn't seem likely that he's going to play. And even if he does, he's more of a factor as a pass catcher than a runner. Pacheco has been a star down the stretch, scoring touchdowns every game, which I'm sure Brinson is going to get into in a second. But piling up attempts, piling up carries, piling up rushes. So he's at 15 plus carries, 8 of his last 9 at 4.6 yards per rush on the season. If you get 15 carries, you get to 69 yards. So we're already over by a couple yards there. And the San Francisco defense getting gashed by the run, 100 plus rush yards in 5 of their last 6 games after allowing that total in only 3 of their first 13. So I expect a 20 carry day from Pacheco as San Fran focuses on not letting Mahomes beat them. They'll live with Pacheco having a good day if they can limit Mahomes at all. But even if he isn't having a great day and they are focused on him, he can break a couple tackles and get a long run too. So I like 66.5 minus 110. I also like sprinkling a little bit on the alt line of getting him to 100 plus rushing yards at plus 320. I see him as getting a 100-yard game in the 100-yard day on this game because I think he's going to get 20 plus carries.
Yeah, for those podcast devotees who listen to the show regularly, you will note that Pete Prisco said his bold prediction was Isaiah Pacheco, 110 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, which lines up with RJ's prop, which lines up with my prop, which is Pacheco anytime touchdown minus 125. Same reasons that RJ just laid out. I think Pacheco finds the end zone. They're going to feed him down by the goal line. He's an angry, hard, aggressive runner, and it lines up with props theories on the over here for Pacheco's rushing yards.
Yeah, indeed, Brinson. I am also backing Pacheco over 66.5 rushing yards. Been backing him throughout the entire postseason. Just been really impressed. With the ground games. Kansas City has been running the ball very effectively. The offensive line has looked really good. And if we look at the San Francisco defense, the run defense historically, or the last 4 to 5 years, or really even dating back further than that, has been a real strength of San Francisco. Not the case this season. 25th in EPA allowed per rush. If we're looking at the path of least resistance, teams in neutral game environments are opting to go very run heavy against San Francisco and having a lot of success doing so. We saw Aaron Jones really, gash the San Francisco defense. And so, I think Isaiah Pacheco is in store for another big workload. 2 of the 3 Chiefs postseason games, he's had 24 plus rushing attempts. So they, again, are very committed to the ground game, and it's a good matchup. This is not the same, again, San Francisco run defense we're used to seeing. That's been elite for as long back as I could think. So, I love Pacheco over 66.5 rushing yards as well.
And you got to think, and we were talking about Steve Wilkes earlier too. He kind of does more like light boxes, but you can't stack the box against Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know how they're going to stop Pacheco, how that front 7 is going to be able to do it. But
that's the most telling thing I've heard from you all week long in terms of, oh God, I'm kind of scared about this game.
Of course I'm scared of it. Well, one, anytime your team is in the Super Bowl, I feel like, you're scared of it. And it's Patrick Mahomes and you look at all
Shout
these
out Matthew
things.
Stafford.
Yeah. I'm not as worried about Matthew Stafford in my life, but yes. RJ.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford playing for Brinson's favorite team, the Rams, lifelong Rams fan. Will Brinson.
I'm a lifelong Los Angeles Rams fan, RJ. As long as the Rams have been alive in Los Angeles, I have been a Rams fan. I am nothing if not a pain in the butt, of course. So I have Pacheco anytime touchdown, but we all have anytime touchdown scorers. And let's get to those. Katie, you are not allowed to take Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown because it's minus 230. However, you are a clever person. You found a way to get a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown bet. I'm not even mad. I'm amazed, to quote the great Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, here's the thing. One, I think that Kansas City fans are the most worried about Christian McCaffrey as we are almost about, Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's our only hope, Christian McCaffrey. And like you said, everybody wants to get in on the anytime touchdown market for McCaffrey, but it's going to cost you. It's anywhere from like 220. I've seen it minus 420 in some places. So maybe you want to throw in a parlay.
What?
I don't know. However, yeah.
What did RJ said last week, like before the Niners were in the Super Bowl, his anytime touchdown, all action was like minus 120 or minus 110, right?
Yeah, minus 130. And if they'd have lost the game, you'd have lost that bet already. Yeah.
Which is, unbelievable. But here's the thing. When you look at Christian McCaffrey, his splits with touchdowns in the first half versus the second half all season long, he's got 11 rushing touchdowns and 4 receiving touchdowns in the first half. You look at that second half, it's just 3 and 3. So 1, they're going to give the ball to Christian McCaffrey a lot. 2, he's going to score in every single game. If you get him in the first half, it's at plus 120.
Love it.
I'm
going to go with. Sorry. Go ahead, RJ. Yeah.
I was actually open to you taking Christian McCaffrey. I had this it was a little more convoluted what we're going to do here to have everybody could get like one minus 200 prop, one minus one, and that was for the express written purpose of having you be able to take Christian McCaffrey. So I'm glad you found a way to do it.
Thank you. Where there's a will, there's a way, RJ.
Speaking of which, since my name is Will, I will go ahead and throw mine out. I'm taking Travis Kelce anytime touchdown minus 105. This is my favorite. I gotta say, this year, for whatever reason, I've done a bunch of radio hits, and people are like, "What's your favorite prop bet?" I'm like, "It's not very sexy. It's just Travis Kelce to score a touchdown at any time at minus 105." I've seen it even money in some spots. 5 cents here, 5 cents there, yada yada yada. Look, Travis Kelce is the best. Maybe he's one of the 2 best offensive skill position guys in this game between him and CMC. And he's maybe the greatest tight end of all time. When it's all said and done, he's trending that way. His girlfriend's flying from Tokyo on a private jet to appear in the game. I don't know if you heard about Taylor Swift. And I think he's going to score a touchdown. I don't think that the 49ers or anybody have the ability to slow down Travis Kelce because, and he's talking about this on his podcast, he's like, maybe I should follow the lines that Big Red draws more often. He freelances so much that as much as you want to try and figure out what he's going to do and game plan against him defensively and bracket him and all that stuff, even when teams try to do that, they don't do a good job of it. See the last 2 weeks in the playoffs. So Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown minus 105.
I will add that Travis Kelce scored a touchdown in that first Super Bowl against the 49ers 4 years ago. Since then, he's played 12 postseason games. He has touchdowns in 10 of them. So pretty good.
That's ridiculous.
Pretty good hit rate, to just expect the guy that always scores a touchdown to score a touchdown. Alex, who do you have?
I've got Deebo Samuel at plus 130. I really believe Deebo is going to be, besides C-Mac, the focal point of San Francisco, certainly the passing attack. And I like Katie's prop on his rushing yards quite a bit as well. I think this is why you have Deebo Samuels, is to really just kind of take the reins off him here and just let him go. He's very good option between the tackles running the football. I really love his versatility, the way he has the ability to impact the game. Obviously, durability being a big concern with Deebo, but now that we've reached the Super Bowl here, it's time to just cut him loose. And I think his yards after a catch ability is extremely rare, and just getting him the ball, getting him completions in space is going to be the name of the game for San Francisco. And he's going to get the ball quite a bit, and he is just very difficult to tackle, and they're going to figure out how to manufacture a lot of touches for him. And I love his chances of getting in the end zone as a result.
So you guys played all 3 different guys, McCaffrey, Kelce, probably the 2 main guys, one on each side. I found a way to get both of them in my pick. So I'm taking the jersey number of the first touchdown score to go over 19.5 at minus 110.
This is really good. This is very good. Yeah.
So in this one, you basically got 3 main guys you're looking at: McCaffrey, Kelce, and George Kittle. And I'll take the first 2 guys on that list as probably the first touchdown scorer here. And then you put everybody else on the other side, and I think we have a little bit of an edge there. I like getting the 19.5 instead of 22.5 at some books, because just in case that Kansas City defensive score and Brock Purdy, a little meltdown happens early in the game, you throw in a few of the Kansas City defensive backs in there, the 2021, 22. So I like playing it on that front. So you also get Kyle Juszczyk, always plays in, always in play in big games. He had a touchdown in that first Super Bowl. You get the random Chiefs touchdowns who score touchdowns out of nowhere. Every other game, it seems like you get a Noah Gray touchdown, Blake Bell touchdown, guys like that. And then the random offensive line touchdown, which I don't think is going to happen with these 2 teams, but you never know. So the main focus here is McCaffrey and Kelce. I think one of them gets the first touchdown. So I like getting minus 110 on over 19.5 for the jersey number of the first touchdown score.
RJ out here playing chess.
Just real quick. I noticed you do on FanDuel that I'm seeing that Christian McCaffrey method of first touchdown. Now, it's no touchdown. If he doesn't score, you lose the bet, because no touchdown is plus 150. But rushing touchdown, method of first touchdown, Christian McCaffrey minus 115. I don't hate that. I feel like they're going to give him the ball, running the ball down by the goal line.
Yes. Yes, but first half, I think, you give yourself a little more time. All right, guys, let's talk defense and special teams. Unfortunately, we don't have Breach on this podcast because I'm sure we get a good kicker one. But I will start. I'm looking at Fred Warner over 8.5 tackles and assists. He leads the 49ers this year with 132 total tackles, averages just at this at about 8.25 per game. He's had 20 tackles in the postseason, and 13 of those were in his last outing versus the Detroit Lions. We were talking about Travis Kelce a lot in this, right? And he's coming off of a phenomenal AFC championship game, 11 of 11, 116 yards and a score. He's got to go up, though, in the middle of the field against these linebackers, most notably Fred Warner and, of course, Greenlaw there as well. I think he's going to have a successful game. So I'm going to take him over 8.5 for total tackles.
I
dig it.
Yeah, I have an interesting one. I didn't go with one single player. I had a matchup based one, and I have Trent McDuffie to have more tackles and plus assists than Charvarius Ward at -115. Both only had one tackle in the conference championships, but McDuffie averaged 5 per game in the regular season, while Ward was just over 4. And I believe, with the zone coverage at San Francisco employs, if they stick with that, it's going to be much easier for McDuffie to rack up some tackles here. If he's playing outside wide on that zone, might not be as involved in the action because they will go away from him, and then Patrick Mahomes will be targeting the softer spot places of the zone rather than Charvarius Ward's side of the field. So I think McDuffie's going to be on Samuel, on Debo, and we expect him to be a big part of the game plan. And even though Debo Samuel's great at breaking tackles, McDuffie is great at not having tackles broken. He gets guys down pretty much all the time. So I think it's going to be a game where McDuffie gets to the 5 to 6 range and Ward is sitting at 3 to 4. So like getting McDuffie on the matchup against Ward here if you can find it.
And I will take the Kansas City Chiefs to have fewer than 3 sacks. You can get this at close to even money, under 2.5 sacks. Brock Purdy just does not get sacked very often. He's only sacked 3 times in 4 of 18 games, including the postseason. He's never sacked more than 4 times in one game either. I also think, considering his amount of dropbacks, we're just going to see 30 dropbacks or so. San Francisco's offensive line obviously protects him very well there too. And Kansas City has not been generating a lot of sacks recently. So I think this is a good look here, especially at close to even money.
I'm going to take Nick Bosa not to record a sack. It feels weird fading one of the best pass rushers in the game. It's -128. It's actually favored over Bosa recording a sack. And I think when you look at Patrick Mahomes Mahomes early in his career, first season in the playoffs, 8 sacks in 2 games, 6 sacks in 3 games the following season, 4 sacks in 3 games after that. And then, of course, when they lost to Cincinnati in that AFC Championship game, 9 sacks in 3 games. I mean, just ridiculous. But then last year in the playoff run, just 3 sacks in 3 games. And this year, only 2 sacks in 3 games. Mahomes has done a really good job of avoiding those sacks. He's using his legs a little bit more to escape. He throws the ball away more. And I think as a result, they're going to make sure that Nick Bosa isn't the guy to beat them, because Bosa – let Chase Young. Hey, Chase Young, come earn your money, son. He hasn't done anything since he got to San Francisco. You just can't that role. He's been bad. So double Bosa, chip Bosa.
Everyone's running on the outside. He's just sitting there watching them. He drives me insane.
Yeah, I think they will attack Chase Young, and that they will make sure that Nick Bosa doesn't beat him. The other thing about Bosa, if he sacks you, he is pretty likely to strip that ball out, and they do not want that to happen. So I will say Bosa, no sack for no sack for Mr. Nick Bosa. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, long shot props. But first, Sunday, February 11th, we can't wait for the biggest game of the year, Super Bowl 58 on CBS. 2 legendary franchises square off when the unstoppable 49ers take on the Chiefs. We have their sights set on back-to-back championships. Live coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, right up to kickoff. Super Bowl 58, February 11th on CBS, and streaming on Paramount+. More props next.
After the confetti falls, head on over to CBS Sports Network for exclusive post-game coverage.
Welcome back to the Pick Six Podcast.
JJ in that commercial.
Yeah, I love it. I was feeling like I have to sneeze, but I think I've passed it. We are going to do the Pick Six parlay now, guys. And we never hit on the Pick Six parlay this entire season long. So we are switching things up for the Super Bowl. Instead of doing, money line and then the one dog, we are actually going to do long shot bets. So at least 10-1 odds. And of course, the person with the best record previously goes first. That's not changing. So with Propstarz, you had the best.
I did. So, I will go with a 14-1 play, and it is a triple shot of the most passing yards, most rushing yards, and most receiving yards. And I'm going Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey to have the most rushing yards, Patrick Mahomes to have the most passing yards, and Debo to have the most receiving yards in the game. And you can get that at plus 1,400.
Before I give you my pick, Alex, you want to tell them about the long shot you hit a couple years ago?
Sure, yeah. Actually, in the 2 Super Bowls ago, when the Rams won 23-20, I guessed the exact score, and that was 100-1 odds. So, that was a fun. Yeah, thank you.
We were live. We had a live stream, I believe, on Pick Six, and he was on it. He had to, kind of dial.
I had to leave the room. Yeah, I did.
Much like watching Will when he had a live sweat on that one live stream. I know Will remembers that. He had a massive PGA play that he was live sweating during.
That was the Tom Brady beat leading into the Super Bowl. RJ and I were doing a prop show the day of the Super Bowl, and I was sweating $200,000. I think it was like RJ was like, Will, we're doing patching props next. I was like, that sounds good, RJ. I was like staring off at the Waste Management Sunday action. I'm going to go with Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, the first player to reach 25 rushing yards, 13-1. I think, again, it's not like to happen. These are long shots. But Mahomes taking off and running early in the game, gets a little pressure there, sprints down the field before the Chiefs get going on offense, before the 49ers get going on offense. Mahomes, first to 25 rushing yards.
I'll dial back and give you mine now. McCaffrey, we talked about a lot in this podcast. What if he throws a pass in this game? You can bet that at plus 1,100. When he got traded from the Panthers to the 49ers, that first game, he didn't start. Obviously, he was there a few days. Next game, he came back, and in his first start, he had 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown, and 1 passing touchdown. And that was they threw a pass with him in his first start. Did not do it again until the NFC Championship game when Purdy got hurt. The backup got hurt for Purdy, and then it was the McCaffrey show from there. And he threw 1 pass in that game. Haven't done it all this year. And I've been wondering, where has it been? I think they've been keeping it under wraps, keeping it a secret. 2 weeks to prepare. They'll draw up some plays. I think they'll want to roll this one out early on to give the Chiefs defense something to think about when McCaffrey gets the ball. You can't, maybe create a little bit of space for him to run if he's taking a run left or right. And then he all of a sudden pops it downfield for a pass for 20 yards. So I think that 11-1 isn't great odds for this prop, but it's something that Kyle Shanahan's going to get creative in the Super Bowl, and McCaffrey being the guy everybody's looking at, I think he's in play to throw a pass in this game.
I love that.
He did that early. Like he did that like the fifth week of his right. It was like in the first 5 weeks of his Niners career.
He did it in his first start. Like he briefly played. When he was with the team for like 3 days, he had like 8 carries, I think, or something. And then he got his first start. All of a sudden, he's throwing touchdowns, running touchdowns, receiving touchdowns. It's like, has this guy been playing in this offense for years? What's going on here?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do George Kittle for the first touchdown. That's at 11-1 as well. And RJ, you kind of hit on it in your jersey thing. One of the names that you put out there was George Kittle. Now, he's not the most likely of those 3 with Kelsey and CMC, but we do know that when the pocket collapses and the pressure gets turned up, Brock Purdy looks for George Kittle. George Kittle is always a threat for an explosive run and an explosive play. So I wouldn't be totally surprised if he gets the first touchdown, and that is at 11-1. This Pick Six Super Bowl long shot segment has been presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more. What are our total odds here? Brinson, have you put it in?
I'm trying to put it together. I don't know that we're going to be allowed to parlay all of them.
I don't think you can actually parlay them, though.
All right. Well, then this is
Yeah.
play them separately.
I love that. I love that George Kittle. That George Kittle first touchdown score though. The 11-1 is a really good number for him. Particularly like how much focus will be on Debo and Christian McCaffrey. Was I? Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yep.
Why don't we each give a wild card pick?
5 minutes.
Well, let's do a wild card pick quickly. Katie, you love the doink cam more than life itself.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Bucker kicked a doink in the last Super Bowl, which spawned CBS saying, "Hey, we got Super Bowl next year. Let's put 6 cameras inside the upright." So you got to root for that, right? We're gonna see a vantage point like we've never seen before on a doink. It's gonna make Breach very, very happy. So plus 800, yes, there will be a doink.
I would just put Breach in the goalpost and have him be the doink king and give me commentary on every field goal as it's kicked. My wild card is going to be the color of the Gatorade bath on the winning coach, something you can actually bet on the Super Bowl. I'm taking orange at plus 300.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan said when somebody asked, because they're trying to get an edge in this, that orange is his favorite color. He's not going to be drinking it on the sidelines. He drinks, water, he said. But maybe the San Francisco staff's going to have it ready in case he wins. He gets dunked by his favorite color, and the iconic picture taken for all of time. Chiefs had purple last year. They were also the last team to have orange, though, in the first 49ers Super Bowl. If they're superstitious at all, hey, we had the 49ers, and we had orange, and we beat them in that comeback. Let's go to it again. So it's pretty random. But orange has happened 5 times in 23 track Super Bowls, leader by a slim margin over other colors. I like orange plus 300 in this prop.
Count on RJ to give a very in-depth analysis on the Gatorade color there. So loved hearing that take. I'm a sucker for exact score props after hitting one a few years ago. I've got to do it every single year. So yeah, I'm going to go for the exact score. Chiefs 27. San Francisco 21. You can get that at 171 or 170 to 1 odds. So yeah, 27-21 final score.
Spicy. That's actually, considering like the team is talking about the total, that number, that's a pretty good look. I'm going to take Isaiah Pacheco to have 30 plus rushing yards in each half. I think the Chiefs will come out and try to run the ball early, and I think the Chiefs will have a lead and they will run the ball late. And so that's I believe that is 2-1. Isaiah Pacheco, 30 plus rushing yards in each half.
I love that.
And of
all
course,
right, now we've all done our long shot. Right? Yep. So now we're going to look at MVP odds. I think the 49ers are going to win this game. I think it's all going to be Christian McCaffrey. I like him for a touchdown. I like him for a touchdown in the first half. I like him for 2 touchdowns, actually. And if you like that, then MVP. He's chalk, but he is our only hope. And by our, I mean 49ers fans, the faithfuls, McCaffrey plus 450. RJ, who do you like?
It's funny because I'm going to tease everybody else's picks. Nobody took a quarterback, even though quarterbacks are typically the one that you should always take here. And I'm going to go even to the more extreme of that and just take any non-quarterback, which you can bet at plus 200. I think Patrick Mahomes has had his 2 Super Bowl MVPs there. I think that the narrative is going to be tired unless he has a massive statistical game. They're going to be tired of voting for him. They're going to look for someone else to do it if the Chiefs win. Kelsey's the obvious play there. If the defense plays well, maybe they get a defender there. And on the other side, Christian McCaffrey would have been the MVP of the last 2 playoff games that the 49ers had, not Brock Purdy. So I think McCaffrey's a smart play if you think the 49ers are going to win. I'm just going to, who cares who wins? I'm just going to take any non-quarterback at plus. It's plus 170 on FanDuel, but you can find plus 200 out there in the market as well.
I can't find I don't know what FanDuel. I mean, it's different in every single state. I don't see an MVP on here, but I'm going to take Travis Kelce. I mentioned 3 receiving touchdowns, 3 Taylor Swift celebrations, many cutaways to Taylor Swift. Kelce at 14-1 to win MVP. Are you kidding me? It's tough because you got Mahomes there, but I also think we could see. We mentioned the Christian McCaffrey passing touchdown. Wouldn't be shocked if we saw Travis Kelce down in the red zone, line up in that wildcat formation and maybe run one in or throw one in. If that happens, a touchdown without Mahomes from Kelce or with Kelce, bang, bang, Chiefs gang.
How dare you?
And I will go Deebo Samuel at 25-1. I think as far as value is concerned, even though I'm on the Chiefs, I think he is the best value on the board. Personally, I really feel like this is going to be a Deebo game where he is going to be heavily involved. You save Deebo for these high leverage spots. Yeah, when Debo's at his best, he's running the football, he's catching passes in the short area, he's making guys miss. His ability to run after the catch is pretty much unmatched. Debo is a full-grown man. So I think if San Francisco is able to win, Debo will have a lot to do with that. I think if he has put together a couple highlight reel plays, it'll go a long way in Debo potentially winning the MVP, especially if he can potentially get a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown, which I think he'll have a shot of doing.
I love it. All right, that is going to conclude our Super Bowl Super Picks show. Harry, you want to throw up the Super Bowl bets? Yes.
Holy Moses.
They are in all their glory. I would say take a picture of it, write it down, do what you got to do, because that's a lot for us to go through here. So thank you for rocking with us all season long. Of course, the Pick Six podcast continues after this, but this is our last betting preview. So it's been super fun with you guys. Thanks so much to RJ and Propstarz for keeping it along with us. And anything we should know about coming up this week with Pick Six, Brinson?
We have one more show live from the Fountains at Bellagio, 5 p.m. Eastern today, Thursday, February 8th, the year of our Lord 2024.
Okay.
On CBS Sports HQ.
Okay. On that note, this has been the Pick Six podcast. We'll see you next time.